a broken heart. How can we ever be whole? Jesus cares and He knows your heart, and He soothes the soul. How do you mend a broken heart and make it brand new? Each day I call out, Lord, heal me true and true.
Josie Carroll was a lonely girl. At 15, her heart ached with a pain she could barely understand. Abandoned by her parents at a young age, she was raised by distant relatives who hardly knew her. Their indifference felt like a heavy weight on her soul. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, each one a painful reminder of her loneliness. She had few friends and felt lost in a world that seemed determined to ignore her pain. The thought of going back to Meadowood Senior High for another year filled her with dread. It wasn't the schoolwork that bothered her, though she struggled there too. It was the constant attention from boys, their flirtations feeling more like harassment than flattery. Josie wished for a friend, someone who understood her pain, someone who could see past her tough exterior and recognize the scared girl inside. Little did she know, her wish was about to be granted. The first day of 10th grade arrived, bringing with it a mix of anxiety and indifference. As Josie navigated the crowded hallways, she noticed a new face. A girl her age with kind eyes and a warm smile. That girl was Megan, and she would change Josie's life forever. Drawn to Josie's quiet demeanor, Megan reached out a hand of friendship, unaware of the profound impact she was about to have. For the first time in a long time, Josie felt a glimmer of hope. Could this be the friend she had been longing for? Could Megan be the one to help her navigate the darkness that had enveloped her life for so long? As Josie got to know Megan better, she discovered that Megan's life wasn't perfect either. Megan's father was absent, leaving her mother, Juanita, to raise 3 children on her own. Despite the challenges, Megan's family radiated a warmth and love that Josie had never experienced. Juanita welcomed Josie into their home with open arms, treating her like one of her own. There was always laughter around their dinner table, a stark contrast to the silent meals Josie endured at her aunt's house. Josie observed how Megan and her brothers interacted with their mother, their love and respect evident in every glance and gesture. It was a revelation to Josie, who had only ever known neglect from her own guardians. For the first time, Josie began to understand what a real family could be. It wasn't about blood ties or shared history, but about love, support, and a shared faith that bound them together. Megan and her family attended church every Sunday, and Josie found herself drawn to their unwavering faith. Initially hesitant, Josie agreed to accompany them one Sunday. The experience left an unexpected mark on her soul. The church was small, with a welcoming atmosphere that immediately put Josie at ease. The music was uplifting, the sermon resonated with her own longing for peace, and the people were genuinely kind. During the service, Josie felt a sense of belonging she hadn't realized she craved. Surrounded by people united in their faith, she experienced a moment of tranquility, a brief respite from the turmoil within. As the weeks passed, Josie found herself attending church more regularly. She still wasn't sure she believed everything that was preached, but the sense of peace she found within the church walls was undeniable. Section 3. A Place of Peace. The youth group meetings, held every Wednesday evening, became a source of solace for Josie. Surrounded by teenagers her own age, she slowly began to open up, sharing her pain and doubts. The youth pastor, a kind and compassionate man named Pastor Mike, listened without judgment, offering words of comfort and guidance. Pastor Mike spoke about a God who loved unconditionally, a God who offered forgiveness and healing to those who sought him. His words resonated deeply with Josie, who had always believed herself unworthy of love. For the first time, Josie allowed herself to consider the possibility of a brighter future. Maybe there was hope for her, a chance to heal from the pain of her past. The youth group became her sanctuary, a place where she could be herself without fear of judgment. She formed close bonds with the other teenagers, finding solace in their shared faith and support. Section 4. A Seed of Faith. Megan, witnessing Josie's gradual transformation, felt a surge of gratitude. She had prayed for her friend, believing that God could reach Josie in ways she never could. Seeing Josie find solace in their faith filled her with joy. One Wednesday evening during a particularly moving sermon, Josie felt a shift within her. The pastor's words about God's love pierced through the darkness that had shrouded her heart for so long. Tears streamed down Josie's face as she realized the truth in his words. She wasn't alone. There was a God who loved her, who cared about her pain, and who offered her a chance for a new beginning. In that moment, a seed of faith was planted in Josie's heart. It was a small seed, fragile and easily crushed, but it held the promise of something extraordinary, something that had the power to heal her broken heart. Section 1. A Shadow Falls. The fragile hope that had begun to blossom in Josie's heart was soon overshadowed by a terrifying event. Johnny, a popular football player known for his charm and arrogance, had set his sights on Josie. His relentless flirting made her skin crawl, and she repeatedly told him to leave her alone. Fear gnawed at her insides, but she kept her worries to herself, afraid of what would happen if she spoke out. She had learned the hard way that adults rarely understood, and often blamed her for the unwanted attention. One afternoon, as Josie made her way to the restroom, she noticed Johnny leaning against the wall outside. His eyes met hers, and a shiver ran down her spine. She tried to hurry past him, but he grabbed her arm, his grip surprisingly strong. Panic surged through Josie as Johnny dragged her toward the boys' bathroom. She struggled against him, her heart pounding in her chest, but his grip only tightened. Section 2. The Silence of Fear. Josie's screams were muffled by the walls of the empty bathroom. Johnny's laughter echoed in her ears, a cruel soundtrack to her worst nightmare. He pushed her roughly against the wall, his body pressing against hers, his breath hot on her skin. Tears streamed down Josie's face as she begged him to stop, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. He tore at her clothes, his touch leaving a trail of pain and humiliation in its wake. Time seemed to stand still as Josie endured the unimaginable. Finally, Johnny released her, his laughter fading as he sauntered out of the bathroom, leaving her crumpled on the floor, a broken and shattered mess. Josie lay there for what felt like an eternity, the weight of what had just happened crushing her spirit. Shame and fear washed over her in suffocating waves. Section 3. Finding Solace. Megan searched frantically for Josie, her concern growing with each passing minute. She had waited for her friend after class, but Josie never showed up. Finally, Megan decided to check the ladies' restroom, a sense of dread settling in her stomach. There, huddled in the corner, she found Josie. Her friend's clothes were torn, her eyes red and swollen from crying. The sight of Josie's brokenness sent a surge of anger and sorrow through Megan. Gently, Megan coaxed Josie's story from her, each word a painful whisper that tore at Megan's heart. She held Josie close, offering words of comfort and reassurance. Megan urged Josie to report the assault, but Josie refused, terrified of the repercussions. She just wanted to disappear, to erase the memory of that afternoon from her mind. Section 4. A Glimmer in the Darkness. As the school day came to an end, Megan walked Josie home, her heart heavy with sadness. She knew Josie needed more than she could offer, more than just a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. She needed hope, a lifeline to pull her out of the abyss of despair. That evening, Megan insisted Josie accompany her to youth group. Josie hesitated, wanting nothing more than to crawl into bed and hide from the world. But Megan's unwavering support gave her the strength to go. As they entered the familiar church hall, Josie felt a glimmer of the peace she had experienced in the weeks prior. The sound of laughter and music, the warmth of the other teenagers' greetings, provided a momentary distraction from the turmoil raging within her. Little did Josie know, this night would mark a turning point in her life, a night where despair would begin to give way to faith, and the seeds of hope, sown by Megan's love and the warmth of the church community, would begin to take root. The youth group meeting that night felt different to Josie. It wasn't just the familiar faces and the uplifting music, but a palpable sense of peace that seemed to permeate the room. As Pastor Mike began to speak, his words resonated with Josie's wounded spirit in a way they never had before. He spoke about the power of forgiveness, not for the perpetrator but for the victim. He talked about God's unwavering love, a love that could heal even the deepest wounds. His words washed over Josie, offering a glimmer of hope in the darkness that threatened to consume her. For the first time since the assault, Josie allowed herself to cry, not tears of despair but tears of release. The weight of shame and fear that had been crushing her began to lift, replaced by a flicker of something new, something akin to hope. As the other teenagers shared their own struggles and triumphs, Josie felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. In their vulnerability, she found strength, realizing that she wasn't alone in her pain. Pastor Mike's message that night focused on the story of Joseph, a man who had been betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery. Despite the injustices he faced, Joseph ultimately found forgiveness and redemption. As Josie listened, she felt a connection to Joseph's story, a sense that her own pain could also lead to healing. Pastor Mike spoke about the importance of giving our burdens to God, of trusting in His plan even when we don't understand it. He encouraged the teenagers to turn their pain into purpose, to use their experiences to help others who were hurting. His words struck a chord within Josie. Could she, despite the trauma she had endured, find a way to use her experience for good? Could she turn her pain into a source of strength and inspiration for others? As Pastor Mike invited the teenagers to come forward for prayer, Josie felt a pull on her heart. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if she was ready to take that step. As Josie watched her friends approach the altar, she felt a surge of emotion. Tears streamed down her face as she realized she could no longer carry the burden of her pain alone. She needed help, and she needed it desperately. With trembling legs, Josie rose from her seat and slowly made her way to the front of the church. As she knelt at the altar, surrounded by her friends and the warmth of the Holy Spirit, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. Pastor Mike placed his hand on Josie's shoulder and began to pray for her, his words filled with compassion and understanding. He prayed for healing, for strength, and for the courage to face the future. As he prayed, Josie felt a release of pain she had never thought possible. It was as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders, replaced by a sense of lightness and hope. That night, as Josie walked out of the church, she felt like a different person. The despair that had been weighing her down had lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and a newfound faith. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she no longer felt alone. Megan, sensing the change in her friend, smiled warmly. She had prayed for this moment, and she thanked God for His faithfulness. As they walked towards home, Josie thought about Pastor Mike's words about turning pain into purpose. She realized that her experience, however horrific, could be used to help others. She could be a voice for the voiceless, a beacon of hope for those who were hurting. In that moment, Josie made a decision. She would not allow the actions of one boy to define her. She would rise above the pain, stronger and more determined than ever before. She would embrace her faith, her friends, and the future that God had planned for her. The days and weeks that followed Josie's conversion were a whirlwind of emotions. The trauma of the assault lingered, but the hope she found in her faith gave her the strength to keep going. She clung to her newfound belief in a loving God, finding solace in prayer and the support of her church community. Megan remained her rock, a constant source of encouragement and love. She celebrated Josie's victories, big and small, and offered a listening ear when the darkness threatened to creep back in. With Megan by her side, Josie began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could overcome the pain of her past. As Josie healed, she discovered a strength within herself she never knew existed. The quiet, timid girl who had once been afraid to speak her mind found her voice, a voice filled with conviction and the power of her newfound faith. She began to share her story with others, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. She spoke at youth group meetings, at church events, and even at a local high school, sharing her journey from despair to hope. The more Josie shared her story, the more she realized that silence was not an option. For too long, she had allowed fear to dictate her actions, allowing Johnny to get away with his crime. But Josie knew that true healing required justice, not just for herself, but for all victims of sexual assault. With the support of Megan and her church family, Josie made the difficult decision to file a complaint against Johnny. It was a daunting task, one that brought back painful memories and forced her to relive the trauma she had endured. But Josie knew it was the right thing to do. The legal process was long and arduous, but Josie refused to back down. She faced each challenge with courage and grace, drawing strength from her faith and the unwavering support of her loved ones. Filing the complaint was not about revenge, Josie realized, but about accountability and preventing Johnny from hurting anyone else. It was a testament to her own resilience, her refusal to be defined by the actions of another. As Josie navigated the challenges of seeking justice, she found solace in an unexpected outlet: songwriting. Music had always been a source of comfort for Josie, but now it became a way for her to process her emotions, to express her pain, and to share her story with the world. Her songs were raw and honest, filled with the pain of her past, but also with the hope she had found in her faith. She sang about her struggles, her doubts, and her ultimate triumph over adversity. Her music resonated with others, touching hearts and inspiring hope in those who had also known pain. Josie's music became a ministry in itself, a way for her to reach out to others who were hurting and offer them a message of hope and healing. She performed at churches, youth groups, and even at a local coffee shop, her voice growing stronger with each performance. Through her music, Josie discovered a new purpose, a calling to use her gifts to make a difference in the world. Her songs became anthems of hope, reminding listeners that even in the darkest of times, God's love could shine through. As Josie's senior year of high school drew to a close, she began to think about her future. For the first time in her life, she felt a sense of excitement about what lay ahead. She had faced her demons, found her voice, and discovered a passion for music and ministry. Megan, who had been accepted to a Christian college in a neighboring state, encouraged Josie to apply as well. The thought of attending college, let alone a Christian college, had once seemed impossible for Josie, but now she dared to dream of a brighter future. To Josie's delight, she was accepted into the same college as Megan. Together they embarked on a new adventure, their friendship stronger than ever. They both majored in music, their shared passion for using their gifts for God, uniting them in a common purpose. College was a time of growth and transformation for Josie. She excelled in her studies, her music blossomed, and her faith deepened. She became a leader on campus, her story inspiring others to embrace their own journeys of healing and redemption. Graduation day arrived, a testament to Josie's resilience and the transformative power of faith. As she crossed the stage, diploma in hand, a wave of emotion washed over her. It was a moment she had once thought impossible, a dream that had seemed out of reach for so long. Looking back on her journey, Josie marveled at how far she had come. The broken-hearted girl who had once felt so lost and alone had blossomed into a confident young woman, her spirit ignited by faith and a passion for using her gifts to make a difference in the world. The road had been long and arduous, marked by pain, fear, and uncertainty. But through it all, God's unwavering love had been her constant companion, guiding her steps, healing her wounds, and transforming her from the inside out. As she looked towards the future, Josie felt a sense of peace and anticipation. The pain of her past would always be a part of her story, but it no longer defined her. She had found healing, forgiveness, and a love that knew no bounds. Josie and Megan, their friendship forged in the fires of adversity, embarked on their ministry journey together. They traveled to churches, youth groups, and conferences, sharing their testimonies and the transformative power of God's love. Their music, a blend of heartfelt lyrics and soulful melodies, touched countless lives. Josie's voice, once silenced by fear and pain, now soared with confidence, carrying a message of hope and redemption to a world hungry for healing. Through their ministry, Josie and Megan created a tapestry of hope, woven from threads of shared pain, resilience, and unwavering faith. They became living testaments to the truth that even in the darkest of circumstances, God's love could shine through, bringing healing, restoration, and a future filled with purpose. Josie's life, once shrouded in despair, had become a beacon of light, illuminating the path for others to find hope, healing, and a love that could mend even the most broken of hearts. Her story, a testament to the power of faith and the resilience of the human spirit, continued to inspire, offering a message of hope that echoed long after the last song had been sung. This is an excerpt from the upcoming novel How Do You Mend a Broken Heart? Josie's Story by David Erickson.
And make it brand new. Each day I call out, Lord, heal me through and through. If you have a broken heart and you don't know where to start, to find a heart healer and the only lifelong Savior, just reach your arms heavenward and receive, accept God's every word. How do you mend a broken heart? Just call and make it brand new. Each day I call out, Lord, heal me through and through. How do you mend a broken heart? How broken heart? How can we ever be whole? Jesus cares Jesus. He heals a broken heart. How do you mend a broken heart and make